All right, guys, so moving on from the website of Hook Theory to Logic. Let's open up a piano, and I did so here in my Logic project. I took a preset that I love. It's actually made by a friend of mine because he found the right combination between a reverb and a plugin. Now, the one that I really love to use is Alicia Keys. She's famous for her songs, obviously, but also for her piano sounds. And this is a library for Kontakt that you can buy on her website. Many good pianos, but I like this one, so I took this one. So how do you start writing a melody? There's actually a various amount of ways to get to a melody. If you look at, for example, producers who draw, you have Avicii, there's Afrojack. Most of those producers, they just draw within the software and they draw their notes instead of playing them. There's also producers that like to play. Look at Zedd, for example. I know Afrojack plays piano really well too, by the way. But I know that Zedd really plays his keys. Or look at Kygo. It's also one of those guys. Like, he plays the keys and he records that instead of drawing them. So there is not one road to success. There's really a different amount of information, different ways to get to the result where you want to go. So in my case, I'm better at playing the piano, I think, recording it, and then change like the MIDI after I recorded it. So if I could not start with just drawing, for me that feels a little bit, far away from making music. So I'll start playing the piano until I see that I vibe to something. Let's start with really simple chords. Like, a chord has to have 3 notes, okay? And so you could think this is a chord. But it's not, in fact, because there's an octave. Look. That doesn't count for a chord. So we gotta find a different way. Now it's called a chord because it holds 3 different notes. And then you also have ways to make it really sophisticated. For example, a chord from a Calvin Harris song called Slide. It's an A major 7. Now this is a really rich chord because, it's not just... He adds another one, and then adds another one, and then another one. That is a really, really, let's say, rich chord that makes it sound really full and fat, but it's not easy to write. So I would recommend to start with chords that make you feel comfortable. This could be white keys, for example. Let's just pick... It could sound really like, oh, this is like music, but this is all white keys. And if you practice for a few minutes, you can do this too. You might be facing the fact like, hey, it doesn't sound the same. There's one thing missing from your setup probably, especially if you have a MIDI keyboard and a laptop, headphones, or maybe speakers. That's it. You're gonna miss one thing. So the secret that you do not see in this image right now, but that I do have, I'm not going to use this knob right now. I'm going to tell you. Listen. Something is changing now. Now I have a pedal under my desk here, which is called a sustain pedal. And if you really want to play the piano and use it for your recordings, I would recommend you to get a sustain pedal. Because with the sustain pedal, look, if I use it, okay, well now without it. You see that the note stops when I release my hands from the keys. So in order to have that key playing when you stop touching the buttons or the keys, you need this sustain pedal, and then you're going to get to that result. Sustain and the MIDI keyboard. You can do it. So yeah, the basics. I know it's a lot of information, and I know that you're probably like, oh, I'm not sure if I need all of this. No, you don't need any of this. You can just draw, and if you would do that, it's going to look like this. I'm going to use my pencil here, clicking escape on my keyboard on Logic, going to the pencil tool, drawing a little bit of a, let's say like a square here, small bar. I'm going to double click that, and my piano roll opens. Again, I'm going to click my pencil tool and just hit a random note. And as you can see, this is also a way of doing it. For me, it's a lot more work because I have to think about where to put the keys or where to put the notes and draw them. Well, if I play them, I know what I play. And if I have to draw it, I have no idea. But I'm gonna try. So I have a note here. There we go. So this is a chord, and I'll show you what chord it is because Logic is going to perfectly tell you what you're just playing. I'm going to hold my left mouse button, go over these notes. And as you can see right here, Logic is telling you what chord you're playing. Now this is a G sharp, if I say it right. Correct me if I'm wrong. In English it sounds different than in Dutch, but it's basically just a G with one of these little hashtags. So yeah, and here you can see that I can draw it. It just takes me a little bit more time. I'm gonna move this little piece of melody and I'm gonna move it half up, and this is the difference. And there you go, and go again. That's the difference between minor and major. You move one key only up half a note, and it's gonna entirely change the feeling of it. Really funny, if you start playing around with this, you can have different emotions and a different vibe, feel to a chord. I'm going to drag this here. And if you zoom in again to the chords we just wrote, then I'm going to take this as the bass note. Okay, well, this is gonna take me forever. If I have to write a song like this, then I'm not gonna be done before the end of the next year. So you can draw it, yes, and I'm 100% sure that for a lot of you guys it's gonna work perfectly fine, because if you do not master the playing of the piano just yet, then this is a perfect way of doing it. Or maybe you play perfectly fine piano, but you just don't like to use it for recording. That's fine too. For me, I play a little bit of piano, and I just like to play it with my hands because I have more feeling to what I do. So again, it really is whatever you prefer, and anything really works as long as you feel comfortable with it. usually just start playing around like this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a vibe, you know, or maybe I want to change. For example, if I would really start a melody, it would probably go like this. Okay, that doesn't work. Then I'm just like, okay. Okay, that could work. These chords work. And I'm just gonna start to figure out, okay, what rhythm am I gonna play them? Let's just put on a kick drum. Okay, I'm gonna use these chords. Or maybe add. Really dark. Let's keep it simple. Okay, let's write it down. I'm gonna hit R. Okay, time to quantize. I'm gonna open up this little MIDI bar and hit Command A, select them all, hit Q. There we go. Okay, some of them are not perfect, and I think that the order of the chords can change as well. I'm not 100% sure if this is the right order. I like the chords, but maybe not in this order, so let's play around. Okay, maybe start here. Or ooh, that's a good one too. That's a good one. Let's try that one. Starting off, it's an A. I'm going to fill the gaps as we speak. All right. I have to make sure now that everything has the same volume. So we do Command A and we drag velocity all the way up, holding the Option key. And now another little trick is when you click E on your keyboard, you can see the information about all of these notes. Look, it lights up and you can change basically everything: the number, the channel, the length, the value, the velocity. I can drag this down and it will change it for all of them, as you can see. So sometimes I also like to make the notes the same length. And in order to achieve that, I do a right click on a single note and I click trim note end to following notes, force legato. And now you'll see that every note has the same length without sacrificing. And now I see that this one is a little bit too long, so I'm going to shorten it. Same for this part here. As long as it has the same rhythm, you should be fine. Okay, one little thing before we continue. Sometimes it happens to be that this is going to sound a little bit too static. Like, even though it's electronic music, you kind of want to have your music sound dynamic and not too like straightforward. Sometimes when things get too perfect, they start to sound imperfect, if you know what I mean. So perfection actually is imperfection. And to get there, we kind of have to go from setting it all, to quantize and to the perfect size and perfect length. We're going to have to like humanize it again in order to get that result of imperfection. Now it's really weird, but we're going to use technology to imperfect it again, and I'm going to show you how. Now we're going to go back to our notes and I'm going to click Function within the piano roll and click MIDI transform, and we're going to go to Humanize. This opens up this little box here where you can basically tell the computer how much you want it humanized. So you can change these values here and it will change accordingly. Now I'll just do like a value of like 10, which is not too random, but also not too computerish. So I'll have that value and I'll go for select and operate. Now, what does it do? As you can see, it changes the values of the velocity per key just a little bit, and just enough to hear that it could be played by a human, so it's not too computerish. And in this way, it's going to sound a little bit more organic. Okay, now I'm putting on a beat here. All right. Using some sidechain to blend it in a little better. Okay. Now, this is going to sound like some chords that we can use for a song. This could be the chorus, or maybe it's the drop. I have no idea yet. There's many ways to get to a song. Like I said, you can start with a chorus, you can start with a verse, maybe you start with the drop, whatever works for you. But this is how I do it. This is how I play around. I like to just experiment with different sounds and with different scales. And if you need any help with how a scale works, Hook Theory is your way to go. And Yeah, I would just encourage you to just start playing around yourself. You know, you cannot really make any mistakes. And Mr. Brainwash always said, every mistake is just another art form. So, you know, I would just take that advice, start creating. Making a mistake could as well be a new hit record.